Okay, slight change of plans. Baby girl's taking a nap, and nailing baseboards in an empty room is very loud, so we need her to get her to rest in there. So while she naps, we're gonna work on a little project over here. My buddy Jacob brought his boat over here. It's got a Suzuki 70 horsepower, 4-stroke on it. We're gonna change the gear oil on it, get them freshened up there. If I'm not mistaken, that's his fuel pump. So we're gonna get the fuel pump changed out, bought a brand new one, stock that up, get it redone, kind of do a once over of it, and make sure everything's working good. So let's get started. I don't know if you can tell, usually these are magnetic. So if there's any metal shavings in the gear case from your gears shearing or anything like that, there'll be metal shavings on it. So there's not, which is a good sign. That's not so hard to get to, but it's always so. Bottom one down in there. There it is. Never an easy one. We're taking off that relay. Let's see if I can get down in there. Our old fuel pump. You can't tell if it's broken or not by looking at it, but made in Japan, so it's definitely OEM. This is a 05 70 horse, so it is shit, almost 20 years old now. It's wild to think that 2005 was 20 years ago, but these things are not meant to last that long. Unfortunately, all those parts inside get eaten up by the gas. So, they're refreshing. I look at them, look the same. So let's put it on and see if we can get this puppy to turn over. Turn it on. Tell oh, it's not focusing, but got some coming out right there. It's hard to see on camera, but there's some coming out, so we'll let that sit there for a minute, let all that air come out, and we'll plug her up. Okay, so we've got new gear oil in it, got a new fuel pump. Everything else looks pretty good. So we're gonna crank some gas through it, fire up our muffs, and see if she fires up. Might need a little starting fluid to kind of get all that gas stuff through. Give her a little inspiration. Fire up. Okay, we got some more starting fluid. I'm going to test that a little bit more since the other one was pretty much out. Didn't have much juice left in it. Clearly, it's a fuel issue because it's starting with starting fluid, so it has compression. It's got spark. That's even what the diagnosis said that he got from the place that wanted to charge $3,000. So I'm going to try that. I have a hunch. They said that the fuel pump was not getting power and that the fuel pump was bad, but that could also mean not necessarily that the fuel pump is bad, but it could mean that the relay to the fuel pump could be bad. So I have a hunch that might be it. We can work on that next, testing the continuity of it. But first, I'm going to try a little bit more of the starting fluid and see what that does. Okay, what's up guys? So we've done some troubleshooting, did a lot of reading, checked out the manual, read a bunch about this motor on the manual, and so we changed the high pressure fuel pump, which let me show you guys what I'm talking about. We changed this guy. This is the high pressure fuel pump right here. So we changed that. So behind the intake manifold here is the fuel vapor separator and the high pressure fuel pump, which I don't know if you can see is right there. It's attached to the back of the intake manifold. So we got to take the fuel rail off, take the intake manifold off, get the fuel separator off, get the fuel pump out of the separator, and rebuild that. So I originally thought that it was potentially a bad relay, but it appears that there aren't relays on this motor. There's not a fuel pump relay on this motor. It's all controlled by the electronics control module on the starboard side over here. So that's one less thing we got to worry about. So really, you know, there's three things when it comes to pretty much any type of motor. It needs air, spark, and gas. So your air is your compression. Obviously, it's got to have good compression in the motor for it to run. You got to have your gas. That's what powers it. Your spark is what ignites your gas. So a real good thing of like process of elimination when you're troubleshooting things like these is you check all three of those things first. That way you can narrow it down. It's one of those three things 9 times out of 10. So we've got good spark, we've got good compression, so we know that it's fuel. We changed the low pressure. We're actually about to test, so I can take this off. Let me get you guys a little closer. This is going to be our next, just to double check. I was watching some videos on it, and I think this is where we're going to do a little bit more troubleshooting here. So if we take this off, that's the wiring harness for the fuel pump, and we hook up the voltmeter. It's been sitting out in the rain. It's not very good, but so it's not going to read anything turned off. But when we turn the motor on, it should have 12 volts to it. Okay, so we don't have 12 volts. We have like 0.16 volts to the fuel pump. So that's our first issue, and it might not even be a fuel pump. So I've got a couple wires. We're going to turn it over, and we're going to see if we can hear that fuel pump fire up. See if it's getting incorrect voltage. And if it's only getting 0.1 volts when it needs to be getting 0.12, then that's a big problem. And that's probably what's causing us to not have it fire up. So negatives on the right, positives on the left. See if we can hear it fire up. I'm not hearing anything. We need to crack open this fuel rail right here, and if we get some gas coming out of there, that means the fuel pump's working. I'm gonna scoot you guys back so it doesn't get covered. Okay, so a little update for you guys. I've got the exhaust manifold off. On further inspection, there's a little cylindrical piece. Tell right here, this guy, and it plugs in right here, and it was not plugged in. I don't know, that looks like some sort of like maybe a mass airflow sensor, something like that. So that's a pretty good deal. Oh. Oh yeah. So here's our fuel pump. Look at that thing. don't know if you can see it. Definitely time for a change. Corroded. Disgusting. It's our Phillips. That little bracket is not wanting to come off. That screw in there, I don't know if you can tell, is about as corroded as the rest of this shit. I have to bend it back just a smidge to get it out. Okay. Pop our okay. Look at that. That will do her. So I tested power on this other one and it worked. I'm gonna test power on this one real quick and see if it makes any noise. So, that's up or not. Working. Yeah. Shit. Woo. Oh yeah, this thing's dead. There's the doorknob. Fuel pump, look at it. How corroded and disgusting it is. Fuel pump. What it's supposed to look like. Look at the difference. Right is what it's supposed to look like. Left is what it does look like. So that's definitely one of our problems. So we'll get. Yeah, this guy is cashed out. Call him a day. So we're going to take this, kind of soak it in some cleaner, spray it out with some brake cleaner, get all this nasty junk out of there. Do the same with this one. Spray it down. This is actually not too bad, but this stuff, this filter right there, needs to be cleaned. Take all this out. Oh yeah, this is just corroded and shot, so we'll get this all cleaned up and ready to go. Okay, now that we got our new fuel pump in here, Let's test for power real quick. Let's make sure it does what we need it to do. Oh yeah. That's what we want to hear. Got the fuel pump back on, bolted on. We're going to hook up all the fuel lines back up, get everything hooked back up, put the exhaust manifold back on, get everything wired back up correctly, and give her a fire up, and she should fire right up, so we'll see. Okay, moment of truth. Got the intake manifold on. We've got new fuel pump in. Everything hooked back up. Fuel rail back on. Everything bolted in, ready to go. Theoretically, we're lucky, and everything goes how we anticipated. And then with a little bit of help from our starting fluid, just to get some fire in there, and this thing should fire right up. So let's turn the water on. Disconnect the power heater. That's getting wet. Let's turn the water on and let's see what happens. I don't want to leave these muffs on for too long because they're not great. We'll definitely lake test it, but let's try to turn her over here. Fingers crossed. So, motor's running. So we're gonna put everything back together. It's 7:15, so we got some daylight left. We're gonna hook it up, head out to the Grapevine Lake, give it a lake test. I'm assuming, I mean, this thing's running like a top, so assuming everything's gonna be good, but it's good to just test it on the water, make sure everything runs good, make sure it's got power under load. And if everything tests out like it should, then we'll give it back to the customer on tomorrow whenever he wants to pick it up.